Welcome to Factly, the place of interesting and unusual facts. Top 10 fascinating facts about bearded dragons you never knew. The first fact of today is a simple one. Bearded dragons are for beginners, kids, adults, new pet owners, or practically anyone else that wants to own one. Here are a couple tips on what not to feed them. Avocados and fireflies are both bad for them. They can die or get seriously hurt if they come in contact with a certain steroid that's found in both. With avocados, it's a lot of oxalic acid, which could make your dragon sick even in small amounts. So keep your lizards out of your guacamole. Number 2, they generate venom. Now, don't worry about it because it's completely safe for people. On the other hand, it doesn't stop them from hurting insects that they eat. Also, if you want to impress your friends, you can always tell them that you own a reptile that is scientifically venomous. This is always fun to think about. You can also impress your friends in another way because they appreciate going for walks while leashed. In spite of what most people think, bearded dragons are the easiest type of lizard to train to walk on a leash. They get a lot of stimulation from walking, and the looks you get from other people are always enough to make it worth it. Number 3. Bearded dragons could have different sexes depending on their incubation temperature. If the temperature is unusually high, the eggs will turn into females. If it is unusually low, the eggs will probably turn into males. Warmer temperatures are said to make it harder for the young lizards to learn, and the effect gets worse as the temperature goes up. Swimming is how they like to cool down, and they truly love to swim. Bearded dragons are able to fill themselves with air, which makes them more buoyant and helps them swim better. Now, some lizards don't like being in deeper water. They are mostly just happy to lie on their backs in the water and rest. And when you watch them swim around, they actually kind of look like crocodiles. The reason for this is they use their tail as a rudder and move it back and forth as they swim. That brings me to number 4. Bearded dragons can run on both feet while standing up. They can do this because of the same thing that lets them sleep standing up also lets them run. It's that center of gravity. It stays on their back. This technique makes it so they can run faster, but it is harder for them to keep their front legs on the ground. This also helps them because they sleep upright. Bearded dragons can stand straight up and lock their back legs. This is what helps them when they need to sleep between rocks or in cracks. And when they're in those situations, they often lean against anything that they can find to support themselves. Number 5. If you look at their scales, you can guess how they feel. At any given moment, it's not hard to figure out how a bearded dragon is feeling. When they are worried or they're upset, all of their scales will get bigger, even the ones on their beard. A happy beardie's scales are more even and almost don't reflect light when you touch them. Beardies also love to wave. Bearded dragons give a friendly wave when they see another reptile they know, just like people do. Now, this could be a sign of submission when they're around a bigger and stronger dragon, as well as a way for them to let each other know that they are there. They're kind of like, hey, look at me, I'm not going to hurt you. Also, they have been seen waving at their owners, which shows that they are aware when people are around. Have you ever seen a beardie do that head bob? The head bob is the most common way that people train their pets. This behavior, which both males and females do, is the same as spikes in that it is a sign the animal wants to mate. When two males act this way, it is also seen as a sign of dominance when they are fighting for a mate or their territory. Number 6 is one of the coolest things. Their teeth can grow back. Beardies can grow new teeth, but they can't grow back their tails for some reason. It's nothing to worry about when they lose their front teeth because that happens all the time. It's a natural result of trying to catch prey or chew food. They also can run as fast as 9 miles per hour at their fastest. Bearded dragons are usually calm creatures that are happy to lounge around and eat, but when they need to, they can move at surprising speeds. They might make it look like they're gone in a blink of an eye, only to show up again a few minutes later. Guess what? They love baths. Bearded dragons are cold-blooded, just like all other reptiles. This means that their body heat comes from the outside, not the inside. They will stay in a position which is called basking for most of the day. One more way they show kind of who is boss is by laying on top of each other to get more sun. Speaking of suns, number 7 is that bearded female dragons can give birth twice. The female bearded dragon can store sperm from the male bearded dragon in her body so she can get pregnant again later. Because of this, a single mating could cause the female to lay 2 clutches or 2 sets of eggs. This gives her the chance to have as many children as she wants while keeping away from male lizards who may be dangerous. Another thing to note is that they have a sense of androgyny to them. Since the males and the females of a bearded dragon don't look very different from each other, it can be hard to tell which is which. Even though males usually have bigger heads and longer, darker beards, both of these things come in wide ranges of sizes and colors. When this species defends their territory, they make a hissing sound, and beardies are known for being very territorial and quite aggressive when they want to protect their domain. They will hiss and puff out their beards to show other dragons, I mean business. Number 8. During the colder months, they'll hibernate. Most animals that have a cold-blooded metabolic system find it harder to keep their body temperature stable when it's cold outside. To avoid this problem, bearded dragons will stop eating or just sip water here and there during the day when they spend most of their time sleeping. Bearded dragons can also change color, though not as dramatically as chameleons. They change it so then they can take advantage of different temperatures. For example, the darker scales absorb more heat, while the lighter scales reflect it. The name beard of scale comes from the term beard of scale around the neck. In addition to helping the animal attract a mate, these scales keep predators from eating it, and you can see these scales sticking out when they open their mouths. The beard is there because the feathers change color and come black when they're used to attracting a mate. Nearly every bearded dragon that is kept as a pet in the United States or Europe was actually bred to be a pet. In the 1960s, Australia was the first country to make it illegal to export bearded dragons. And the country still has some of the strictest export rules in the world. Because of this, those that have been raised in captivity become more submissive, which makes them a better and happier pet. Which brings me to number 9. They're very solitary beings. Even though bearded dragons do things like bobbing their heads or waving their tails at each other, these actions usually only serve to show submission or mating behavior. Bearded dragons should never be kept in cages with other dragons because it hurts their mental and emotional health. Bearded dragons are considered semi-arboreal because they spend a lot of time in bushes and trees. They can hold on to things like rocks, trees, and plants with their strong claws, and they prefer to be in places that are higher up. Number 10. They were made for animals to eat. The most reliable sign of this is the way they look at you. Bearded dragons put their eyes on the side of their heads so they can see a wider area. They need to keep an eye out in case any dangerous animals come near. It does, however, suggest that your dragon will focus on something by tilting its head and keeping one eye on it, which is a very cute thing for pet owners because the phrase suggests that your dragon will do these things. The last neat tip is that their urine, it doesn't actually have any liquid in it. Bearded dragon owners no longer have to worry about getting pee on them from their pets when they handle. Since they come from a desert, it is very important to save every last drop of water. They get rid of waste by using a white powder that has uric acid in it and usually goes out with the trash. I hope you've learned some fascinating facts about bearded dragons, and I'll see you in the next video.